Hi, this is John Witry, and welcome back into our living room.
I'm Donna Witry.
And we are on number 8 of our 10-part series on how to have a really effective relationship, how to bring love and caring and generosity and a fullness into any relationship that you're in. Today, number 8, we're going to talk about pursuing one another. Do you want to start off and just give a little bit of an overview?
Well, it's when you first meet each other in your relationship, you're obviously taking the time to pick up the telephone, arrange the dates. You might take turns back and forth. It's not always the man's job to pick up the phone and arrange the date, but you take the time to let the other person know that you really want to be with them by calling them, by arranging dates. You make it pretty clear that you're pursuing that person early on in your relationship. And so just what we've noticed over the years is that a marriage or relationship can get stagnant if you don't continue to do the things that you did in the beginning to pursue that person that you're in love with.
Yeah, I'll tell you this topic, I don't want to use the word difficult, but in a way it is one of the more challenging of these top 10 ideas that we're giving you. I was great at pursuing Donna when we were dating. We were dating in Carmel, California, so it was this romantic environment, and I once I knew she had interest in me, I was good at calling and setting things up and being really creative about the things that we would go do. But I will also confess that in our marriage, I have had to be incredibly conscious about not assuming that I've caught Donna. So, for me as a man, and I don't want to overgeneralize this, but as a man, there was some part of conquering that had me pursuing Donna. I wanted to conquer this beautiful woman that I loved, and once she said I do, that was almost like saying, okay, you conquered her. Now you don't have to do anything else. You don't have to pursue her anymore. And quite frankly, I think while it was probably unconscious, that was my thinking.
Which leads into our number one.
Yeah, and that thinking, so when you're thinking, I'm done, which does lead into our number one, it starts having you not take the appropriate actions anymore. So why don't you start off with number one?
So our number one of our top 10 is that you're not done yet. You're not done once you sign the marriage license, put the rings on, make the commitment to the relationship. You're not done pursuing that person. It is something that we like to encourage people to continue doing throughout their relationship, to keep it strong, to keep it fun, to keep it, to keep the other person feeling like you're still very interested in them.
Yeah, it's really critical for this to be a cornerstone of your relationship. So no matter where you are at in your relationship, whether it's the beginning or like us, we're 28 years. Matter of fact, just last week we celebrated our 28th wedding anniversary. And so even 28 years into this, I have to acknowledge that I'm not done pursuing Donna. I haven't caught her. I don't own her. It's not a foregone conclusion that she'll always be over the top in love with me. I like to come from the mindset that I still am actively working at winning her over and doing things accordingly to really show you that I'm still highly attracted to you, and I want you to, through pursuit, know how much I love you. So it's a real trick. It's not simple, and you have to be very conscious to it.
Which leads us into number two, which is it's not always how you feel, it's what needs to be done. So, we've talked to people about this, and they say, oh, well, I don't have the energy to make a date, with my spouse, and I don't have that kind of stuff. And so, the question is your marriage and your relationship getting stale? Is it getting stagnant? And there are some things that you can do if you still love each other, you're not really struggling that much. It's not a matter of, oh, we don't like each other anymore. It's just a matter of taking the effort to go ahead and do the things that you did at the beginning.
Yeah.
Send the flowers. Send the text, plan the date. Just don't stop doing the things that you were doing while you were dating.
Yeah, let me say the title of this one. This is worth slowing down really just on the title. And this isn't just with relationship. This is across the board with everything. It's actually not how you feel. It's what needs to be done. And I can say without a doubt that in 28 years of marriage, there were more times than not that I didn't feel like being loving. I didn't feel like pursuing Donna. I didn't want to generate the energy to go the extra mile for our relationship or for our marriage. And it has been a discipline to really lay my feelings aside and not let my feelings drive my actions, but knowing, okay, what needs to be done? Well, what needs to be done to have a committed, loving relationship, long-term relationship, is to constantly pursue, to constantly put energy out against that ultimate goal of being together for the long run and laying aside my feelings. And I can almost guarantee you that once you get into action, so when you lay your feelings aside and you get into action as to what needs to be done, that energy will carry you through completing that task. So just one more time, and I know this will be the third time you've heard me say this, but this is so important. It's not how you feel. It's really not how you feel. It's what needs to be done. I'll let go of that one. Done with that? Let's go to number 3.
So our next one really goes along with what John was saying. There are action things that you can do to start pursuing your spouse. And number 3 is pursue using the other person's love language. So one of the things that we did early on was we read Gary Chapman's book, which is The 5 Love Languages, and we discovered each other's love language. And John's is words of affirmation.
Yeah, you kind of hesitated there for a second, honey.
John's is words of affirmation and physical touch. And mine is acts of service. Is there a second one? Pretty much acts of service does it. Yeah. So anyways, what we try to do as we're pursuing each other is to realize that if we employ each other's love language, that's an action item that we can do that is a way to pursue our spouse. So if John is, gets up from having dinner and starts doing the dishes for me, that's a way for him to pursue me because he's speaking my love language. Yeah. And so it's a really quick, really easy action item that just really means a lot to me. It's very meaningful to me.
Yeah, it really works. And, we did a whole video on this and as part of the In Theo series. So you can go back and look at that about love languages. But it really is an absolute key demonstration of pursuing the other person. So very, very important.
So number 4 is to keep the magnifying glass on the positive. So early in our relationship with somebody else, we are usually super enthusiastic about that person. We don't often notice all the little things that are irritating to us about that person. But a lot of times as the relationship goes on, we tend to start looking and focusing on some of the things that are constantly maybe bothering us about that other person. And so it's a discipline for me to stop thinking about the negative things that John might be doing or things that he's not doing. And for me to keep on focusing and to be able to pursue him, I really need to focus on all of the wonderful qualities that he has, all of the things that he does in our marriage that are really great, and not let the irritants take over what used to be endearing for me.
Yeah, it's interesting. And in both my professional coaching and in our relationship coaching, I buy magnifying, and I think I said this in one of the other videos, but I buy magnifying glasses by the case. Literally, I buy them by the case because there is a concept out there that whatever you put a magnifying glass on is enlarged. And what you put the magnifying glass on is actually your choice. And in a relationship, and when you stop pursuing and you really stop being grateful for your partner, there's a tendency to put that magnifying glass on all the things that don't work and all the things the other person isn't doing well. And so oftentimes we'll just say, look, as a discipline, as an exercise, here's a magnifying glass. And we want you to have this magnifying glass laying around your house as a representation and a reminder to constantly put the magnifying glass on what's great. What's really working? What are you grateful for in your partner? What's moving you forward? And talk about those things, major on those things, because again, if you put the magnifying glass on what's wrong, then it looms large, it looms bigger, and that's all you can see and hear about the other person. But if you put the magnifying